Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Here is the Ukraine War Daily Update. Using two sources, Ukraine Forum and Sputnik. Also another article where we have Kirby telling us what are the reasons why Ukraine's counteroffensive is not as successful as it should be. And we should trust Mr. Kirby because he's telling us the truth. So let's start with showing you the sources first. So Ukraine Forum, this is from 28th of June 2023. War update, fierce battles raging in Lyman, Bakhmut, Marinka directions. This is one. The other one is from yesterday, from Ukrainska Pravda. Kirby on, quote-unquote, slow counteroffensive in Ukraine. There are reasons for that. Yes, of course there are. And then we go to Sputnik, where we have the 28th of June 2023 update. For my viewers who are familiar with my daily updates on what's going on over there, each bullet here represents something, has a meaning. The blue ones are the Ukrainians shelling the Russians' troops. The red ones usually are the Russians shelling the Ukrainian troops. The yellow bullets are locations where the Russians downed Ukrainian drones or aircraft, and the black ones are where they actually meet face to face, right here. Now, if you remember, and you do, Lyman, Bakhmut, and Marinka direction fierce battles. Those are on the map located right here. Artemovsk, which is Bakhmut, Artemovsk by the Soviet Union and the Russians, Marinka right here, and Lyman is up here, right here, but is not shown as being any contact or fight in Lyman. It should be in the north of Bakhmut, right here. So this is Lyman. So you can say, okay, we have Kuzmino or Grigorovka by the Russians here, and you got here Artemovsk, which is Bakhmut, and you go south into Marinka, and then you got Avdiivka and all these locations. We're going to go one by one, but let's start with Weasel Kirby. Kirby, I want to show you here the map they used here to show us who's who, what's what. So here is Zaporozhye, this is Donetsk, and up there is Lugansk. So here is where everything occurred, exactly what I showed you. The Ukrainian counteroffensive is proceeding more slowly than Ukraine and its allies would like. You mean everybody else from that side? But there are objective reasons for this. Yes, of course they are. The Russians knew what awaited them and prepared well for defense. Jesus Christ, superstar. How can you say that? They prepared well? I thought you would find other justifications. Quote from Kirby. President Zelensky himself, I think, spoke publicly last week, saying that it's going slower in some areas than that he would have liked. He's the commander-in-chief, yes, the field marshal. He gets to make those determinations and he gets to give those orders. As I said earlier, the Russians have invested a lot in the last 6-8 months in terms of defensive capabilities. In some cases, their defensive lines are 3 deep. And by 3 deep, I don't mean just 3 feet. I mean miles and miles and miles deep. But the 3 big lines of defense. They knew that the Ukrainians were going to want to take back territory in the spring and summer months, and they knew to prepare it. Good job, Kirby. You earned 0 points from me again. But at least you're still at negative, but... So, let's see what the Ukrainians are saying. Russian troops continue focusing efforts, so the Russians are focusing, not the Ukrainians, on the Lyman, Bakhmut, Marinka directions. Fierce battles are underway, so by this, I should take that the Russians are the initiators? I thought that the Ukrainians are in a counteroffensive. The relevant statement was made by General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's missile and artillery units have hit one Russian ammunition depot 11 artillery units in firing position, 3 air defense missile systems, and 1 electronic warfare system. Ukraine's Air Force launched 11 strikes on the enemy personnel clusters, 5 strikes air defense missile systems, and 1 strike on a Russian command post. The Ukrainian military destroyed 6 enemy reconnaissance unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. So the Ukrainians always start giving a small summary, short summary, and then they go talking about the whole situation, starting from north, and then go northeast, then they go east, they go southeast, and then south. Just so you know, we're going to start talking about this area, and then going to start talking about this one, then about this one, and that's it. We're going to try to use the Russians as well while we use the Ukrainians. On the night of June 28, 2023, 6 enemy Shahed drones were destroyed over Ukraine. Over the past day, the enemy has launched 44 airstrikes and opened fire with multiple launch rocket systems about 20 times. The threat of Russian missiles and airstrikes is persisting all over Ukraine. About 20 combat engagements have occurred in Lyman, Bakhmut, and Marinka directions in the past 24 hours. This is where this whistle showed right here, this area. It was easier than showing the Russian map. In the Volyn and Polisia directions, north, the operational situations remained rather unchanged. No enemy offensive groups were detected. Now we go a little bit to the right. In the Siversky and Slobozansky directions, Russian troops launched an airstrike near the Kharkiv region, as well as mortar and artillery strikes over 20 settlements, including Tralala in Sumy regions and in Kharkiv. So they say the Russians just shelled this area right here. The Russians don't show much in Chernihiv, Sumy, but they show in Kharkov. We have these Ukrainians bombarding Belgorod, and the Russians doing certain things here. Let's see what they do. Units of the Zapad battle group hit Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. So far, so good here. Okay, that's what the Ukrainians said as well. And here, let's see how many drones they destroyed. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone. The same thing here. So this is right in Kharkiv, right here, region, and then we're going to Luhansk and then Donetsk south. Let's go back to the Ukrainians. In the Kupiansk direction, let me show you where that is in the east of Ukraine. Kupiansk is right here. Right here is Kupiansk. I'm going to show you like this and then make it bigger. So right here is Kupiansk. The Ukrainians say in the Kupiansk direction, over 20 settlements came under enemy artillery and mortar fire, what I just mentioned. And then we go in the Lyman direction. Lyman direction is south of Kupiansk a little bit. So let's go. I'm going to make it. So we're going to go south from Kupiansk here. We're going to go to Lyman, which is lower south. All right. Where is that? A little weasel. I always have a problem finding Lyman right here. I know where it's at, but it's small always. So here, we moved from here, we go here. What we see here is just, again, Russians are saying that the Center Battle Group hammered Ukrainian units of the 63rd Mechanized Brigade using air and artillery strikes. I'm very interested in these black ones, but let's start with the Ukrainians first. In the Lyman direction, Russian occupiers conducted unsuccessful offensive actions near Rozdolivka. The enemy launched airstrikes near the Luhansk regions, Bilohorivka and Zvanivka, and the Donetsk regions, Viminka. Russians over 10 settlements with artilleries. Something is here, shelled probably. Shelled, alright, let's go here and see what these black little things are. The Center Battle Group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops. The Ukrainians did not say that. Let's go to this one. The Center Battle Group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops, having wiped out units of the 15th Regiment of the National Guard of Ukraine using air and artillery strikes. So this is Lyman right here. This is Lyman, And if I go to the Ukrainians, they see something else. In the Lyman directions, Russian occupiers conducted unsuccessful offensive actions. And the other guy says, no, you were inoffensive. Anyway, let's go in the Bakhmut direction. Russian invaders conducted unsuccessful offensive actions. Over 15 settlements came under enemy fire. Okay, let's see where that is. So we're going to go to Bakhmut, Artemovsk. Let's see what happened here. The Yug battle group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops. So the Ukrainians say the Russians attack. These guys say no, the other ones attack. What's this? Russian forces struck a temporary deployment point of the commander staff of Ukraine's 63rd Mechanized Brigade. And here probably a drone. Russian air defenses shot down 2 Ukrainian drones. Back to the Ukrainians. We're going to move south to Marinka. In the Marinka direction, Ukrainian defenders repelled all enemy attacks near Marinka. Russian invaders launched an airstrike there and shelled about 10 settlements with artillery. Let's see where Marinka is. Marinka is south of Artemovsk, north of Avdiivka. Avdiivka is right here. Look how many black things are here, but unmentioned by the Ukrainians. Let's go to Marinka. Battles are raging in the city. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing more. So let's go to this area right here. The Yug battle group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops. Avdiivka. Battles are raging on the outskirts of the city. In the area here, the Yug battles group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops. Russian forces destroyed a temporary deployment point of the command staff of Ukraine's 10th Mountain Assault Brigade. And here, what happened here? The Yug battle group successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops. Doesn't really make sense. These guys are saying they attack, the other guys say, no, you attack. Well, anyway, that's why I use both sides, so we are lied by both of them. Now we go south. In Zaporozhye and Kherson directions, Russian troops are focusing efforts to prevent Ukrainian forces from advancing. The enemy launched airstrikes near the Zaporozhye regions Levandne and Mala Tokmachka. About 30 settlements came under enemy fire. So where is that? Well, very easy. So we go south. Nothing here in Zaporozhye, but here is where supposedly the Ukrainians attacked. Let's see what. Ukrainian forces fired 12 155mm shells at the settlement. And here, supposedly, they met the forces and shook hands. Not. The Vostok battle group successfully repelled 2 attacks by Ukrainian troops using aviation, as well as heavy flamethrower systems and artillery strikes. So this is Zaporozhye, this area right here. I'm sorry. Here's Zaporozhye. I got lost in space. Sorry. Here is Zaporozhye. So let's go to what the Russians say. Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops using aviation as well rocket and artillery strikes. What's the Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone. Here another drone shot down. These guys, Ukrainian forces had shelled the city. What's over there? Russian forces struck Ukrainian troops using aviation as well rocket and artillery strikes. And here Russian forces thwarted the activity of a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group. And here let's see what the Ukrainians were able to do. Vladimir Rogov, chairman of the We Are Together with Russia movement, said that Ukrainian forces had launched a missile attack on the city. Primorsk. Here it is. Yeah, that's a good achievement. And here, Melitopol. Emergency services of the Zaporozhye region said that the Russian air defenses repelled a Ukrainian missile strike on the city. There were no casualties and damages. And now we go to Kherson. And these guys, I think they're done with the Kherson region. And that's it with the Ukrainians. So we have only the Russians. Obviously, here is a bombardment coming from the Ukrainians. Let's pick one. Ukrainian forces fired 9 shells at the village using cannon artillery. Ukrainian forces fired 19 shells at the city, hitting a kindergarten and plague. Okay, the same thing as the Ukrainians say, always civilians. Ukrainian forces shelled the village civilians. Okay, so let's go and see what the Ukrainians say in Kherson. The Russians say about Kherson. Russian forces using artillery strikes wiped out a Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group as it attempted to land on the northern part of the island. Let's make it bigger here. All right, so this is it. Northern part. So I like to look at war from a macro perspective. Obviously, macro is created by micro, but I like macro because I like... Anyway, so I let other friends taking care of the micro thing, or macro as well. And this is coming, as I said, from the Ukrainians and the Russians. And I don't expect them to tell me the truth, but at least put together we kind of have an idea of what's going on. These guys say, no, you attack. This guy say, no, you attack. Now, which one attacks? Make up your mind. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by the balls or something. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.